One part of the amalgamation called Chatham, Kent, is the city of Chatham. Although it's a city, it has a very small town feel, as is obvious from its downtown center. The streets have even been redone to reflect this idea. Situated on the Thames River, the city boasts many things, including its rich historical background. The center of this city was one of the staging points for a decisive battle in the War of 1812. In this battle, Chief Tecumseh lost his life fighting with the British. Nestled near the heart of this city and the community is a small shop that has a history of its own. It's called the New GME, and if you enter, behind the counter, you'll find the owner, Chris Bullard, waiting to help you.
Okay. Thank you for agreeing to do the interview.
It's a pleasure.
Yes. Now, one of the first questions I wanted to ask, how did you start your business? Because I know you've been around for about 10 years, right?
How did I start? Completely from the beginning, or?
Might as well go completely from the beginning.
Okay, so about almost 20 years ago, actually a little over 20 years ago, I just got back from university, and I was working at the post office, and being kind of into geeky stuff, I saw this little shop on the corner of Wellington and 4th Street, and that was another guy named Dave was running that, so I started hanging out there after work and stuff, and after about a year, all his business partners kind of bailed on him, so he decided he was going to move on. I told him he was crazy because there's a lot of money to be made and stuff. So then about a year after that, well, maybe 6 months after that, we partnered up and moved to another location and went from there. I guess I was partnered with him for about 4 or 5 years, and then bought him out, and then moved here. So it's just if you're into geeky stuff already, why not try to make a job out of it? Right?
No, absolutely. So now that first location you were at then, that was on the corner, were you ever part of that, or was that just...
Technically, no. I mean, I kind of started to horn in on it. Like, I was actually kind of selling a few things in his shop, and he was okay with it, so... but yeah, officially, no. So, I mean, the GME's been around 21 years, and I've been around for 20 of it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So then from there, it moved over to the King Street location.
Yeah.
Now, what was the prompting for that change?
There's a slightly larger location. I don't know if it was a better location economically, but I mean, the original store we were in was maybe like a 15 by 15 foot tiny little room, right? So not really much room for people to play games and stuff like that.
It was definitely a store.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So Chris decided to move, not once, but twice, until he ended up here on St. Clair Street.
You know, it's funny. It just randomly. This was the first place I checked, and it was good enough. You know, the parking here isn't excellent, but everything else is fine. It's a very good price. I have a really excellent relationship with my landlord. So.
That's good.
Yeah, it's very important. You know,
Yes.
somebody when things got tough and stuff, he really he really helped me out sometimes. So you know, I got nothing but good things to say about him. Brian Morton.
Now everybody does.
Exactly.
Now Chris had everything he needed. Room for games, rows for comics, and tables for playing. But economics can make all of that mean nothing if the people do not have money to spend.
Yeah, that's just the nature of any business, but because this is a hobby business, I mean, like I always say, I don't sell milk and bread, right? So when people decide to cut back, this is one of the first things they cut out. So you're really lucky if you can get, you know, somebody that sticks with you over the years. So, yeah, I mean, you know, 5 years ago when the economy went in the tank, it just about took me out right there. So, you know, you just roll with it. It's been pretty good the last 3 years. So.
Yeah, I do. I have to admit, when I remember coming in and there being 2 games on the shelf,
Yeah.
and you know, you
Hope it was never that bad, but yeah.
bare bones did
Yeah.
just to get through it. Now
Exactly.
again, it's back up.
Yeah, it's good.
But this farming community likes to look after its own, and Chris is no exception.
Comics for Grades is an idea I had with a friend of mine named Tony Walsh. We were looking for ways to give back to the community because Tony's a really big part of the United Way and stuff like that, so he kind of drew me into that. And the idea we came up with after a few iterations was to give comics away to kids for originally it was going to be for getting good grades, but then it occurred to me that maybe the kids that needed to read the most might be the kids that weren't getting good grades. So then it went to just anybody who brought their report card, and then it was where you're going to draw the line. So I said, all right, anybody brings me any report card. So you can be in university, you can be in, kindergarten. We'll find a book that matches up with you.
Well, that's a cool idea.
Yeah. And then once a season, maybe 2 books a year you can get that way. So it's all based on donations too. That's the nice thing. Like I've donated some of my own books, but a large part of the books that we're giving away are things that people have donated to us. So like it's sort of a peer-to-peer thing. Like if you love comics, you want people to be exposed to it too, right? So.
But one way to help was not enough for Chris, so another charity was born.
Probably just you guys approaching me. I really wanted to do some local conventions because I'd done a couple of those about 10 years ago, and I was just doing them all by myself. And, I had help here in Julie that works for me and stuff, but it's very hard to run something like that. So when somebody approached me with a lot of energy, like Christina here, I thought, like this is a good time to do it. I've been really thinking about doing it this year anyway, so it was just really nice that some people were kind of shared some interest. And the great thing is that everybody has their own thing. So like Christina was in the cosplay, and we brought in other interests, and they all complement each other. And that's the nice thing about geeks today is there's different interests, but they all kind of work together. And when you had everybody there, I think we had a really good time. It was raised some money for charities.
There was more people there than expected.
Yeah, well, honestly, that's what I hope for. I hope, you think and you can logic stuff out, but as things started to roll together, I said, I bet that's how many we're gonna get. So 125 was a good amount, and we got about 150. So it leads up to the next thing, right? So
where do you see this cosplay going, CK Cosplay?
Well, we're going to do a bigger one in a year, right? So we'll see. It's hard to say. Right now I'm just doing it because I think it's a fun experience. I think we can raise a little bit of money for charity. I think that it could get bigger. It just depends on if we keep the crew together, if we add more good people to it. That's the important thing, is getting maybe half a dozen people that are really committed to it, who can motivate another 20 people to help them, and then everybody else shows up and does their part. It all depends. If people stay geeky, then it can get bigger and bigger. It can be a good part, something to do every year for the community.
So the support has been really good for this.
Yeah, I think. You saw how cosplay was, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, I wish I had been there." I said, "Well, come back in a year, it'll be even bigger, right?" So.
An event that was built for playing games and cosplaying. The city was excited with the chance to participate. But was CK Cosplay the right name for this event?
I really like it. It's a little clunky, but I like the pun. But one of the people said, "You sure you want to stick with that name?" But one is the idea cosplay, that pun might not be totally unique. So putting CK in front of it really brands it as ours. And 2, I really want to ground it in the community. So I want people to know this is a Chatham Kent phenomenon. This is something we're doing to help the community, raise money for different charities. So that sort of thing.
Being in the business as long as he has, there are many interesting stories he could tell. One of them spurred his move to this store.
I was getting to the end of my relationship with that place anyway. Dave really wasn't being very reliable anymore, and some things were going on, and I was worried about some of the people that were hanging around there and stuff like that. So one night I came back to check on the store, and the front window of the door was completely smashed in, and there was a small rock just sitting there on the floor, and somebody had come in and stolen my computer, and by the time I finished paying back the cost of the window and replacing the computer, it's about $3,000 for the damage. So then I ended up with a $3,000 rock. It came with me here. A few stories have been told about over the years.
So, having owned the business this long, does Chris still enjoy what he does?
Yeah, I mean, since I was a kid, I was in the comic books. It's funny because I came through the magic side of it, but I really, it's 50-50, but I almost consider myself a little bit of a comic store more than other things, just because they've been around longer. But yeah, those two things keep everything running. So
Gaming and dressing in costume have become more and more accepted as of late. There are conventions and expos held all over the world. Does Chris believe the media has played a part in this rising interest?
everybody talks about that. Everybody, Big Bang, or it's the new Spider-Man movie affected things, and to a certain extent, I think that has more than any other show ever, because it put kind of a human face on people. And those guys are kind of geeky and awkward, but yeah, I mean, people talk about it all the time. They ask about whether that's influenced things. But I think, yeah, in a positive way, yes.
Yes. Because I still remember when they had Settlers of Catan on there.
Yeah. Well, they do, and they have cameos. Obviously there's Stan Lee and Leonard Nimoy and different famous people over the years. So yeah, it's good. It's really exposed people. It's changed the way people perceive geekiness. I think Big Bang Theory is more of the result of it. Like it didn't create it. It shows what's happened, because that show can become so accepted. It shows that people have changed their idea about this stuff.
So whether you're a gamer or cosplayer at heart, if you find yourself in Chatham, the one stop you have to make is at the new GME.